Sessions from TEDxChattanooga presents local musicians in a mix of music and storytelling with a listening room vibe. The 2025 version of Sessions was held in March at Songbirds in downtown Chattanooga. One of the artists, Randy Steele.
First song is called Adam and Rose. I've lived with this song for a long time. It's one of the early songs I wrote. I tell you, this is what happens, all right? When you first start writing songs, if you ever meet somebody who they start playing guitar, then they start writing songs, and they're like, you want to hear the song I wrote? Which nobody wants to hear, right? Everybody, well, I know that. Everybody knows that. They say, you want to hear this song? And then they kick off, and everybody's first song is Wonderwall, like some version of Wonderwall. Right, but it's really Wonderwall. You're like, oh, but it's just the same thing. The second song is the banger, though, usually. Like, somebody will write a second song, and you're like, whoa, where'd you get that from? It's really cool. And then they plateau, and they plane out. That's what happens every time. Then it's usually like one of them downward plateaus, too. That's the way just general life works, I think. Once you get good at something, it only happens quickly. In order to talk about songwriting, I need to explain a couple of role models that I had really early on, which really got me into music. My grandparents loved music, and they filled their house with music. All their kids played, like whether they wanted to play or not. They were church people, Pentecostal people, and music is a huge part of the Pentecostal church. You know, the way that I was raised, I'm not going to put this in there. We'll just say it this way. The way I was raised, we really kind of brought up that God really asked two things. And the first thing is to obey his word, which is kind of a catch-22 because there's a lot of things in that one thing, honestly. And the second one is to worship him. And when I was a kid, I was like, oh, God, we got to do this all the time. But that's not what it means. It means singing songs. So we were brought up to, like, one of God's, his truest request for us is to sing songs, which meant music had a really important part of my life really young. And the second role model was my mother. My mom is a fantastic singer, and she's a great piano player. She's a great sight-reading piano player. I wish I had that skill set. I just do not have it. And she taught me how to practice, and practice is really important when it comes to music or really doing anything, but it really helps out writing too. But she would lock herself away in our living room, and she would get the CD player out. She would sing gospel songs because she had church stuff coming up. I really learned that how to practice and how to play at the house all the time, which my family come to just loathe in the years. Because a 6 a.m. banjo call, that's the easiest way to wake everybody in my whole family up. I got teenagers now. You're like, get up. So. And they're all right. Just don't do that. Just don't do that. But the person who I really started songwriting with and who really instilled a love of music in me was my Uncle PC. He was a star when I was younger. And at a time that I needed a star, like I didn't really have a role model that was in that place. And let me tell you what he did. He played in a local band, and he worked, and he had a family. And then he went from that local band working a family to being touring and playing on the road all the time. And then he was playing with Blues Traveler, and they were going on Horde tours and on all of this crazy stuff. And I got to see all of that. And even though he went from local guy in Cleveland, Tennessee to touring nationally all the time, he always, when he came home, was like, hey, you got any new songs? Let's write songs. So we would do that all the time. And we would sit around and we would talk rhyme schemes, and got really good at talking bad about other songwriters' rhyme schemes, which is an important part of songwriting. And we drink a little whiskey. Sorry, Mom. We drink a little whiskey. That's when I first started drinking whiskeys and Cokes, and those are cool. And we learned how to write songs. So fast forward about 10 years, I get married. And we have kids, and I start working for the Chattanooga Fire Department, and we moved to Chattanooga. And I kind of get out of music for a little bit, but fell in love with playing the banjo and started playing bluegrass music. Started writing this song. This is the second one. The first one was garbage. It was Bluegrass Wonderwall. It was. Oh, brother, where Wonderwall are. So, something like that. Two things I want to talk about this song. There's two aspects of writing this song that I think are cool or that were neat. The first aspect is that this entire narration is done from 10,000 feet above the story. And I don't know if this happens to you guys. Do you ever go see a songwriter or somebody play and they're like, well, this song means this because I wrote it, and they explain it and you're like, God, I hate that song now. I used to love this song until you explained what it was, and now I'm like, ugh. Or you realize you're singing the wrong lyric the whole time. You're like, oh, that's what that means? So this is in a different way because it's so vague. The entire storyline is vague. The storyline exists, but it's really left up to the listener to make up exactly the details or the finer details of what happened. In the same vein, there's a throwaway line in here that seems like it would be super relevant and just never gets explained. And that was on purpose. That's one of my favorite parts of that song. The second thing that's really important about this song, or what really got me started in songwriting, and I don't want to finish, I swear I'm going to play it, is coming up with interesting chord progressions and melodies, which is, this song started from going something cool. And I was like, oh, cool, that's pretty neat. All right, so here we go. This is Adam and Rose. Adam and Rose were barely 19. The whole road ahead, and life unfolding. Trying to figure out the quickest way out. That's one horse north Alabama town. Adam was the son of a carpenter, a local deacon had chosen one. Rose had known a day without harm until she found her way into poor Adam's arms. Scared of his own shadow, he ran the table, she ran the rest. Off and running wild, Adam and Rose and an unborn child. The day they hit the road, Adam's mama cried. She prayed to the Lord to keep him in his side. Rose made other plans, or so it seems. She left him standing out at exit 17. Scared of his own shadow, he ran the table, she ran the rest. Up and running wild, Adam and Rose and an unborn child. It's been 10 years or so since Rose passed away on that October night of that November day. And Adam still yearns, his heart gently aches when the autumn wind moves. Scared of his own shadow, he ran the table, she ran the rest. Up and running wild, Adam and Rose and an unborn child. Adam and Rose and an unborn child. Oh, thank y'all. Like I said, I wrote that song early. But something that happened with it was in 2023, that song, along with another song called The Golden Smile, made it into the Kerrville Folk Festival and got me into a finalist in the New Folk thing. So I got to go to Kerrville, Texas, and be a part of the Kerrville Folk Festival. Kerrville Folk Festival is the longest running folk festival in the United States. And it started off as a bluegrass festival, so I felt, good about it. was like, all right, it started off good. I'll get there and fix it, you know? So I'm going to move ahead a little ways. As I said before, I worked for the Chattanooga Fire Department. I've been a captain in the Chattanooga Fire Department since 2009. I got hired in the early 2000s I got hired basically about a year before September 11th. So it was still like kind of a crappy government job. And then all of a sudden it became something completely different. For a few years, it was a little bit wild. No kidding, y'all. This is after September 11th. They put me on top of the Ryans on Lee Highway, waving an American flag off this fire truck while they sang Lee Greenwood songs in the parking lot of the Ryans. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Yeah. It's a little post 9/11. That's what they don't tell you. That's the real hero stuff you gotta do. But this next song I'm gonna talk about is called Age of Ben. I wrote this song a few years back. I put it on an album. I have a couple of releases out. If you passed by the weird suitcase in the thing, you probably saw a couple of them. The first album I did an album with a bluegrass band called Slim Pickens. And then in 2016, I put out an album called Songs from the Suck. And, thanks. And then a few years after that, I had put out an EP called Moccasin Bender, which is what this is on. So there's a couple of points I'm going to talk about real fast, just so this has context. The parts that make this song cool to me are the parts that really changed it. Actually changed, this song helped change my writing, grow my writing. Because I started really writing, I really first started off in just basically doing Jerry Garcia songs, and I'm telling stories. Oh, here's this story about this Adam and Rose. There's a Out on the Lamb. They're gone crazy, right? But it's always other people. It's almost always make-believe. Age of Ben represents a change in that. So what happens is, this fella, he's laying in bed at night, he hears a rattle on the window, and he gets his handgun out and he goes and checks the doors. He doesn't see anybody, so he goes back to bed. Next morning, he wakes up and he goes to work. And while he's gone to work, one of his children picks that handgun up and shoots the other one in the chest. And we ran that call. And then I ran that call for like 10 years at night, every time I tried to lay down and go to bed. And then there's this lady driving down the road. She's drunk. She got 4 or 5 kids in the car with her. Worst case scenario, she wrecks, splays kids all over the highway. We don't even have enough medical equipment to deal with this, so we end up having to do mouth-to-mouth CPR on a 10-month-old infant. I had a 10-month-old at home, right, when this happens. So I lived that call on my pillow for 10 years. I mean, a solid 10, just having tough time sleeping. I really started drinking kind of heavy and using alcohol as medication because it's so much easier to pass out than it is to go to sleep. Just trust me, it's easier. And so this is just how I was kind of coping. And it was about this time that I hit this idea that maybe instead of writing songs about other things that don't happen, I can start writing about things that are happening around me. And that's what this song, Age of Ben, is about. It's about some things that happen around. It's really a story of about 5 different people and about a bunch of different situations, but where this song lands, why I thought it was interesting. There's a couple things real quick that are just songwriting things. My youngest child, Charlie, who's 15 right now, would probably be really embarrassed to hear me say this, but when he was young, when he called out for his mama, he would go, "Mama, Mama." And he sounded so pathetic, and he breathed. It was like Vincent Price is in the crib, like, "Oh, Mama, Mama." He dialed drama in right away. He figured it out. We're like, "Oh, what's wrong? Oh, I'm so glad you're here." But one of the ideas of this song was trying to figure out a way to catch that desperate, it was just so heartbreaking when he would say it, because after, it is like at first. It's heartbreaking at first. After you heard it 100 times, you're like, yeah, I got your mama. All right. Sorry. So here we go. This is called Age of Ben. Melissa had a baby when she was 17, but the state took him away because his blood wasn't clean. She named him Perry, but they changed it to Ben, and she never saw the face of that boy again. She was sent to rehab by the Third Circuit Court, but that place was a sieve, and it was easy to score. She punched some lady over a cribbage win, and they shipped her off to Kansas to the federal pen. Ben was born in April, he was adopted in May by some California ministers that took him out of state. But nobody mentioned that he came with a glitch, that you could cover him in aloe, that he was born with the itch. And there were nights, felt like years, where he's calling for his mama. Put him on the street when he was 15 years old, and led from Irvine then to Dallas, Atlanta, and Orlando. And he tried his best to find a way to fit in, but nobody gave a damn about what happened to him. And there were nights that felt like years, where he's calling for his mama. See, Bennett always felt like he was missing a piece, a puzzle with a hole, an axle without grease, until he found the needle, and that started the end of a short, sad story called The Age of Ben. And there were nights, felt like years, where he's calling for his mama. So goodbye, little Perry. Good night, little Ben. I hope you found what you were looking for in that opium. But I suspect it's just the same old tale. And P.S. Goodbye to Melissa. I hope you're burning in hell. All right, I'm going to make this real short. All right, the next song I'm going to tell you about is a brand new song that got released today. And it's... Oh, thanks. It's called The Extra Mile is a Gravel Road. And I wrote it just this past year. Had a lot happen in the last year. Had a... Really, I say a year, but it's really more like 2. Had a close friend pass away. Getting ready to retire from my job. And, that's that guy is with me. That's my driver, my designated driver tonight. But yeah, so a lot happened, and I'm not going to go through the whole story. I'm just going to say this. There's a lot happened. And this song really came about. The thing that is impactful, the thing that changed for me when writing this song was I took a step forward out of that, say and write stuff that's happening around me and say, this is actually going to be a song that's about me, which is really harder to do. It's really hard to do when you put it off for a long time. You know what I mean? When you're like, I'm going to write a song about myself next year. And then you do that for like a decade or so. But, as you get older and you start going through things, I started realizing that the more I was writing this stuff down, the less I had to live in here. And so I think that's one of the things that I really picked up on songwriting. It's constantly changing. I've been writing songs since I was 14 years old, and it constantly changes. I go through phases where I'm like, these are the rules, and I go through phases where I'm like, rules are stupid. And then I go through phases where I'm writing for other people, and then I go through phases where I'm in right now where I'm really writing for myself, which is great to do. If you ever get a chance to do that, where you don't think about, I'm not going to show this song to anybody, I'm just going to write it for myself, that's a good thing. It's really freeing. So this one wasn't. This was about an argument that I had with my wife that kind of got this thing started. No worries, it was a miscommunication. We've been married for a long time, so we learned how to work things out. With my therapist, Nancy, she helps. But I was a little nervous to show her this song because it was pretty close to the end of that argument, so I waited till she got in the bathtub. I kind of sneaking her out in the corner with a banjo. And she liked it, so I kept it. So there you go. This is called The Extra Mile is a Gravel Road. Am I settled in my lane? Is my bucket overfilled? Have these years just gone to waste? Is this a calling? Is there even such a thing? Is this wool over my eyes? Who pulled it? Was it me? Are you applauding? The extra mile is a gravel road. Would I do this all again? Was my foot glued to the floor? Or the ditch is the best part of the weekends? Will a failure own my name? Is that all just in my head? If I lose these last few teeth, what's left to kick in? The extra mile is a gravel road. You don't hear my voice, I see my shadows. I know the winds, the boredom breath, the deaths, the battles. Why I'm in armor on the beach to challenge the ocean wave by wave. Do you feel this way as well? I listen when you sing. Do you hear it when I'm breathing out for war? Am I settled in my lane? Has my bucket overfilled? Have these years just gone to waste? Is that a calling? The extra mile is a gravel road. Thank you, guys.
Randy Steele from this year's Sessions from TEDxChattanooga at Songbirds. Coming this fall, the TEDxChattanooga Conference on Wednesday, November 19th at the Walker Theater. Visit TEDxChattanooga at TEDxChat.com. That's TEDxChat, chat with 2 T's.com.